This is going to be about Economics 312. The idea of trying this class for the hybrid is going to be around two type of issues. The first one, being able to give enough material in less than 3 weeks. But the second point also is to be able to think how I can use the hybrid courses for actually the rest of the time, simply because even during the whole semester, I have never succeeded to cover the whole material as I would love. The course, which is Economics 312, is intermediate macro. It's about two things. It's about providing tools to students, almost like intermediate microeconomics. And it's about also teaching students how they can use those tools to actually design policy or apply to macroeconomic policies. But most of the time, given the time and the constraint on resources, we don't have TA. It happened that we end up only covering some stuff of the theory and manage to cover some of the empirical side or problem-related issues. But I never felt that we have been successful, at least for my case, successful to cover the real world problems in the time frame and the constraints that we face. That's why I thought most of the time I will spend something like 20% of the time going over problems, what is going on in the economy, what is going on with the financial market, inflation, and so forth. I spend something like 10% of the time answering questions in class, like now. People are excited to know what is going on in the financial market. People are excited to know what is going to happen with the 700 billion. People are excited about all those issues. And when you begin answering those questions, you end up spending more than 10% of your time. And going back to the theory, you find yourself stuck in a way that you cannot even finish the course. And there are some of those materials that you feel that you have to teach, because this is an intermediate class, and at some point, beyond that class, in terms of macro, there are only advanced macroeconomics, which most of the time emphasize only theory, mathematical theory. Then if someone understands the course, he should be ready to go outside and to behave as an economist. But he cannot behave as an economist if he doesn't learn how to bring the theory to the real world. And this is where I think that this course is going to help do the job. But then in trying to solve those problems, I was faced with the issue of creating more problems. You say, okay, now I'm going to use the online way of thinking so that I can solve some of the issues. But you end up also creating other issues. Some of the issues that you create is exactly what we call the free riding. Most of the students, since you cannot have all the students one by one, we need to create groups to make sure that you can actually work with them and monitor them. It happened that some students will end up free riding on others. Then, what I try to do in this course is to create a set of incentives where the incentives are going to account for both returns and punishments, which means that I make sure that if you do the job, you get good credit. If you don't do the job, but I make sure that you can be punished, and at some point you can learn from the punishment so that you can improve yourself in the next days. I did benefit from a talk with Wendy, which means that if you look at my syllabus, it's like almost like a copy of her own. She has more experience than I do. I did also benefit from a talk with Bob, who was really very helpful. We meant that what I'm going to present again, that's my first time to do the job, is going to be based on my own thinking and gathering information. as I go on. The first thing I did is to make sure that I have a syllabus which that is enough comprehensive in terms of providing information to students on what they are going to face. The syllabus is going to talk about the objective of the course, the requirements, the type when the exam are going to happen. It's going to tell you about the online review, the policy of examination, and so forth. I gave some kind of outline of the way the course is going to be conducted, given the time constraint that we have. They're going to be review online, which I call usually practice exam, to make sure that everyone can participate. And the review itself will be based on incentive and punishment, such that if you do not turn on time your practice exam, you end up not getting the solution. Whoever turned on time his practice exam, he can get the solution, and I can actually provide him with feedback. This is, there are some chapters, as I said, given the time, not only for the winter, but also maybe for the rest of the time. There are some chapters that I cannot succeed to present in class. I have designed, and this is something that I will be improving over time, I have designed a way of presenting some chapters online and then create a forum through which students can interact, and I can actually assign kind of grade on the interaction and make students interact with themselves, make them interact with myself also. All the dates are given on this syllabus. Anyway, as I said, this is going to be supposed to be a comprehensive syllabus, so that students can actually learn what they face in terms of expectation. In terms of the incentives that I've created and which are going to help me to actually save something like 30% of the time. The 30% of the time are going to include 20% of the assignment a student will be doing outside the classroom, but also the 10% of the time that I spend talking about issue going on in the economy, asking questions in class, or providing example on what we have just covered in class. But also I think that it's going to be a good tool to help everyone in class to participate. Since some students are shy, they don't ask a question, and you will feel most of the time that when you finish class, a bunch of students will run behind you asking questions, which means that they just don't feel comfortable in asking questions in class. And I thought that this type of online interaction will help them ask questions. The assignments, I'm going to have actually 3 assignments, okay? I happen to begin with 3. One, I was learning how to play with this when I posted this stuff, but now I know I can begin with 1, 2, and 3. Then we have 3 assignments. Each assignment will actually have a solution. I will be posting I won't post all of them at the same time. I will be posting the first assignment, and whenever this I learned from Wendy, whenever you turn in your assignments, there will be a deadline. Then I can provide you with the solution. If you do not post on time, you get still the solution, but your stuff is not going to be graded. There is the online review. I have a practice exam, the type of review that I'll be giving. Those online review will be based actually on the expectation that students know how to play with a graph or how to write equation in Microsoft equation. What I'm going to do, I'm planning using my office hours, both as office hours, but also as time where I can help students dealing with those issues on how to draw graph or how to play with this stuff in the computer lab. Then I will be there. They will know that all the office hours are available. If they need something in how to write equation, to draw a graph, I'll be helping with that. Next, there is an online sample, course sample. In this one, what I do actually, I try to present the same material. Of course, I will not be talking. I present the same material, but I provide a way so that I can give the same explanation, writing, as I were in class. And after that, I open the forum where I post a bunch of questions and expect the students to be actually interacting between themselves, but also with me. And to make sure that they are doing the job, I will be asking a kind of auto-evaluation. Are we seeing how many you interact, what type of question you ask other students to grade you on your own interaction, but also I'll be telling them that if you do, you participate on the online course or chapter, you will be having kind of bonuses. I'm allocating 5-point bonuses such that they can help you to move on from a C to B or from a B to A and so forth, or someone who has got a good interaction but end up with a grade below C. I can use those information, seeing how he did interact in class, to move him up. But anyway, my sample for the course is going to look like, okay, it's going to look like this. You will see that we, most of the time, oh, I see what is going on. Okay. They will see, and I'm not able to have this really done the way I did it. You will see that I present a first page with all the equations, and then there is a kind of small window on the bottom where I can provide all the explanation. I go define those equations, say what they mean, it's an equilibrium on the labor market, and then explain why I would like the equilibrium to be expressed in terms of those kind of parameters. And later on, I go on and explain in terms of comparative statistics what happens if this increases, or if F increases or decreases. In terms of policy, I can show them still on the bottom, on that small window, tell them what the government can do to increase S or to decrease F. And later on, then I balance this on the blackboard with a bunch of questions to make sure that they understand. They have first to make sure that I can interact with themselves, and later on interact with me. In terms of graph also, I have the graph presented, like this is a demand curve. You have the supply curve, that demand for labor, that the supply for labor. And this was in terms of actually unemployment. Then this is a case where the government is actually fixing a real wage above the equilibrium wage. And with this happening, I tell them what is going to happen in terms of equilibrium, that they're going to be actually unemployment and so forth. In terms of having a table like this, I also, on the small window they will be seeing on the bottom, I go and explain all those numbers and try to interpret them, and later on let them discuss among themselves the same information. I think that in terms of, as I said, in terms of incentives and punishment, what I do in terms of peer review, I allow students to grade themselves within the group. They send the information to me. By the time that they send the information to me, it's not revealed to everyone. It's only once I have the information and I have studied the information that I can reveal the information to themselves. Why I'm doing this? Simply because it's a kind of creating a competition among themselves. If someone in the group is doing well and others are doing bad, poorly, I think I can, in some sense, provide them with incentives to begin also or two try to do well. I allocate a number of points. I give to each student in the group 5 points. And I tell them, you can, the points that you get are going to be based on what you receive from others, not what you are given. And you can give to each student a maximum of 5 points. His only point is going to be based on the average of the 2 points, because in each group I'm assuming there are going to be 3 people. Then suppose that you get 5 from the two other guys in the group, you end up with 10 average, it gives you 5%. If you get 0 and 5, you end up with 2.5. But later on, I reveal each one in the group, each one points in the group. And students, I give them the possibility to complain and to say, no, I don't think that I deserve this. I think that this one has, and this I can learn who is really doing the job and who is not doing the job at some point. That's in some ways what I'm planning to do. I have about 3 chapters that I'm going to present online, and 3 sets of problems that will be presented actually as online work as on Blackboard. Those problems, most of them are based on real issues, but they come from the book. And something that I need to do and that I never succeed to do, and I believe that this was a good opportunity, is to make sure that for each problem set, those are, yes, that's the first, I think this is the third assignment. For this third assignment, let me go back to the, let's take the first assignment. If you take the first assignment, where you see that I have those problems where people can answer questions about what is going on, but also I can allocate a paper, and the paper here is going to be 1 or 2 pages long. And then I ask a bunch of questions on that paper. For example, in this case, that's a paper I found on the internet about inflation. I can now ask them, summarize the main point of the paper based on what we learn in class, present your own view about the paper, and so forth. And I think that for someone who is doing intermediate macroeconomics, he should be able actually to read, not maybe a scientific paper, but he should be able to read a simple paper and to understand what is going on. And this time I believe that I'll be able to involve students in those type of reading. Yep, I think that I'm done. As I said, I'm learning by doing. If you have
questions or comments?
Have you used those techniques before in previous classes, or is this really, all of this is new to you?
This is the first time I use Blackboard.
Okay.
Some of the technique actually about incentives and punishment, that was based on a paper that I wrote about how you can push people to not free rides. It was based on the paper that we wrote. And yeah, I'm trying to see how I can utilize those type of technique. It was an experimental economics to try to bring that into the course.
All righty. Anything else?